winds of joy and grateful chorus raise we, let all within us praise his holy name. Christ is the Lord. Oh, heart of every nation, his power and glory the more proclaim. His power and glory evermore proclaim.
Though I don't have an order of service, I think it's time for opening words now, yes? Everyone nod? Okay, I'll come get that. I'm going to get you warmed up for singing, so please get out your gray hymnals. We're going to do a unison reading. It's number 621. The readings are in the back. I'm going to sit down after this. Okay, we ready? Look up so I know you're sort of ready. All right, good. Why not a star? They told me that when Jesus was born, a star appeared in the heavens above the place where the young child lay.
When I was very young, I had no trouble believing what to say. I believed in the star.
It was a wonderful miracle, part of a long ago story, foretelling an uncommon life.
They told me a supernova appeared in the heavens in its dying burst of fire.
When I was older and believed in science and reason, I believed the story of the star explained.
But I found I was unwilling to give up the star, fitting symbol for the birth of one whose uncommon life has been long remembered.
The star explained became the star understood. For Jesus, for Buddha, for Zarathustra.
Why not a star? Some bright star shines somewhere in the heavens each time a child is born.
Who knows what it may foretell?
Who knows what uncommon life may yet again unfold if we but give it a chance. Now please turn to number 244 in your gray hymnal and stand and join us for It Came Upon a Midnight Clear. It came upon a midnight clear, 2,000 years of wrong. And we who fight the wars fear not the logs on which they bring. Oh, hush the noise of battle strife, and hear the angels sing. For lo, the days are hastening on, by prophet voice foretold, when with the ever-circling years comes round the age of gold. And peace shall over all the earth its ancient splendors gleam, and the whole world give back the song which now the angels sing.
I invite you to join me now in lighting our chalice. You'll find the words to the affirmation in the order of service. We light this chalice
In the search for truth and the spirit of love, we unite in worship
and fellowship. As an extension of lighting our chalice, I'll take a moment to light 3 candles for some of those who have recently been affected by police brutality, knowing that we can't say all the names of those affected. We light a candle for the life of Sanrico Miguel. We light a candle for the life of Alton Tungovia. We light a candle for the life of Kelly Lynn Mason. May these lights be a symbol of our commitment to continue the work of racial justice and to proclaim Black Lives Matter. We'll now take a moment to pause for meditation. I will offer a quote to focus our meditation and then ring the bell. At that point, I invite you to begin the meditation with 3 deep breaths. After a few minutes, I will ring the bell again to mark the end of our time. Our meditation prompt is a poem by Emily Dickinson called Hope is the Thing with Feathers. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. Now is the time in our order of service where we take an offering. We know it is the gifts of all of us that help support our ability to thrive and to gather. For those attending in person, we invite you to drop your offering into the plate as it comes around. For those online, links and instructions will be posted in the chat. You can mail us a check or donate through the PayPal giving page on our website. Please give as generously as you can. Our offerings will now be gratefully received.
A poem by William Carlos Williams, Winter Trees. All the complicated details of the attiring and the disattiring are completed. A liquid moon moves gently among the long branches. Thus, having prepared their buds against a sure winter, the wise trees stand sleeping in the cold.
Please turn in your great hymnal to number 241, In the Bleak Midwinter. Please stand and join me. In the bleak midwinter, frosty winds made moan. Earth stood hard as iron, water like a stone. Snow had fallen, snow on snow, snow on snow. In the bleak midwinter, long ago, Christ the homeless stranger, so the gospel say, cradled in a manger, and the bread of pain. In the bleak midwinter, stable place of pines, Mary and her baby, Jesus Christ. Once more child and mother, weave their magic spell, touching hearts with wonder, words can never tell. In the bleak midwinter, in this world of pain, where our hearts are open, love is born again.
Good evening, everyone. It's a lovely night for a service like this. This is not really a sermon. This is going to be a sharing of poetry inspired by this moment. So here is the story of Jesus and his birth as told in Luke 1-14. In those days, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that a census should be taken of the entire Roman world. This was the first census that took place while Quirinius was governor of Syria, and everyone went to their own town to register. So Joseph also went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to Bethlehem, the town of David, because he belonged to the house and line of David. He went there to register with Mary, who was pledged to be married to him and was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for the baby to be born, and she gave birth to her firstborn, a son. She wrapped him in cloths and placed him in a manger, because there was no guest room available for them. And there were shepherds living out in the fields nearby, keeping watch over their flocks at night. An angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news that will cause great joy for all the people. Today, in the town of David, a Savior has been born to you. He is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign to you. You will find a baby wrapped in cloths and lying in a manger." Suddenly, a great company of the heavenly host appeared with the angel, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest heaven, and on earth peace to those on whom his favor rests." So that's the biblical story in Luke. Now let me introduce you to two poets, American poets, who have something to say about this momentous biblical event. American-born poets Sarah Teasdale and T.S. Eliot were contemporaries. Both were born in St. Louis, though it is believed they never met. Their poetic work could not be more different. Teasdale grew up in a wealthy but strict Baptist family. She was a lyric poet, critically acclaimed in her lifetime, though is far less so now. Unfortunately, her life was plagued with health issues, and in later life she became an invalid, ultimately ending her own life at age 48. Now, in the 21st century, Teasdale is receiving attention again from scholars such as Melissa Gerard, who argue that aspects of Teasdale's poetry have been neglected or overlooked, including her anti-war poetry from World War I. Now, the other American-born poet, also from St. Louis, is T.S. Eliot, who was born into a Boston Brahmin family with its roots in England and New England. His paternal grandfather, William Greenleaf Eliot, had moved to St. Louis, Missouri to establish a Unitarian Christian church there. Eliot, as we know, became one of the most famous and influential poets of the 20th century, spending much of his time in Europe. Pivotal to his private life was a turbulent marriage to Vivian Haywood and a crisis of faith that led him away from his ancestral Unitarianism and toward Anglo-Catholicism. He converted in 1927 and appears to have been a conflicted but devoted Anglican for the rest of his life. He proclaimed himself classicist in literature, royalist in politics, and Anglo-Catholic in religion. 30 years later, he would comment on his religious views that he was a Catholic cast of mind, a Calvinist heritage, and a puritanical temperament. Here are their two poems prompted by reflections on the birth of Jesus. Now I just have to find the right paper. Sarah Teasdale's poem. The star that led them all the way did glorify the night. The angels came from heaven high, and they were clad with wings. And lo, they brought a joyful song, the host of heaven sings. The kings, they knocked upon the door. The wise men entered in. The shepherds followed after them to hear the song begin. The angels sang through all the night until the rising sun, but little Jesus fell asleep before the song was done. Here is T.S. Eliot on a very different take of that night, called Journey of the Magi. A cold coming we had of it, just the worst time of year for a journey, and such a long journey, the ways deep and the weather sharp, the very dead of winter. And the camels galled, sore-footed, refractory, lying down in the melting snow. There were times we regretted the summer palaces on slopes, the terraces, and the silken girls bringing sherbet. Then the camel men cursing and grumbling and running away and wanting their liquor and women, and the night fires going out and the lack of shelters, and the cities hostile and the towns unfriendly, and the villages dirty and charging high prices. A hard time we had of it. At the end, we preferred to travel all night, sleeping in snatches, with the voices singing in our ears, saying that this was all folly. Then at dawn, we came down to a temperate valley, wet below the snow line, smelling of vegetation, with a running stream at a watermill beating the darkness, and 3 trees on the low sky. And an old white horse galloped away in the meadow. Then we came to a tavern with vine leaves over the lintel, 6 hands at an open door dicing for pieces of silver, and feet kicking the empty wineskins. But there was no information, and so we continued and arrived at evening, not a moment too soon, finding the place. It was, you may say, satisfactory. All this was a long time ago, I remember, and I would do it again, but set down this. Were we led all that way for a birth or death? There was a birth, certainly. We had evidence and no doubt. We had seen birth and death, but had thought they were different. This birth was hard and bitter agony for us, like death, our death. We returned to our places, these kingdoms, but no longer at ease here in the old dispensation, with an alien people clutching their gods. I should be glad of another death.
Please turn in your gray hymnal to number 237, the first Noel. Stand and sing out heartily.
And the last poem, Ice Storm. Not the blanched sunrise dawning in prickled shards, not the stiffened sheets hinged to clotheslines in the yard, not the crazed branches stirring, nor that autumn leaf still fastened as an amber preserved. not the holly leaf and thorn, dumb glazed in drizzle, nor the red jay startled in the grizzled sky, but the stillness arcing over all the world wide.
Please join me now in extinguishing the chalice. The words are in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, or the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. For these we carry in our hearts until we are together again. We're now going to make a circle and light our candles and sing Silent Night. Does everybody have a candle? We need some candles. You're gonna need to go down, right? Go down. And we need to go down lights a little bit. Lift it up and to the sides. Uh-oh. I think we need somebody on each side doing this, right? Otherwise it's going to take a little while. You're going to do that side?
Will everyone please extinguish your light? Now we've got all kinds of goodies back in the next room. Please come join us. We'll be getting together with your family, I hope, in the next today, tomorrow. But for many of us, our families live far away. So please join our church.
Bring your candle up and come out.
How are you?